Hello, welcome. How are you? I hope you are well. Tonight I wanted to ask how you are doing. Perhaps no one has asked you this question all day. I wanted you to feel that you are not alone. I am here every night for you to have a peaceful sleep. Remember, if you subscribe to the channel and like the video, tonight we are traveling to ancient Egypt. Let's begin. As you gaze toward the horizon, you see a massive fireball-like sun sinking behind the hills one after another. The sky stages a dance of colors shifting from orange to purple, turning into a deep indigo in the region. The Nile River, abandoning the bright blue and green hues it held during the day, transforms into a dark, almost black mirror with the last rays of light falling upon it, and small ripples on the water now scatter a silvery sheen. Along the river, the bustling daytime activity gradually gives way to its natural rhythm, and from within the reeds, the flapping wings of herons take flight, their sounds echoing in your ears as heralds of the approaching night. Ears accustomed to the constant background noise, engine sounds, and the hum of electrical devices in modern times here perceive only the tranquil murmur of the water and the rustling of wind through palm fronds. As darkness deepens, the necropolis, the city of the dead on the far side of the river, vanishes among the shadows, appearing as a mysterious silhouette. This scenery reminds you of how intertwined life and death, light and darkness truly are. Between the mud and straw houses, the ground beneath your feet still retains the warmth it absorbed throughout the day, but you begin to feel the air gradually cooling. As the absolute darkness, which you can never fully experience in modern cities, slowly begins to swallow everything, your eyes struggle to adjust to the dimness. The fields flourishing with the Nile's bounty become indistinguishable, and the world, perceivable only through sounds and scents, contracts into a narrower, more intimate space. When the sun completely sets, the first stars appearing in the sky seem like the eyes of the gods beginning to watch you. And before this landscape, you feel profoundly how small humanity truly is. The scent of the river, a mixture of wet earth and decaying vegetation, fills your nostrils, reminding you that the source of life is right beside you. In that era without electricity, sunset was not merely a visual spectacle but also a time to retreat to safe places, gather with loved ones, and prepare for the unknowns the night might bring. Heeding this ancient call, you direct your steps toward your home, that safe shelter, leaving the Nile's peaceful sounds behind you. As you step through the low doorway of your house, the twilight outside gives way to dense shadows within, and the first thing present is the small clay oil lamp standing in its usual place. Groping, you find the flint stones and strike them together. The sharp click that emerges and the subsequent feeble spark briefly dispel the pitch-black darkness of the room. As the flame at the tip of the linen wick flickers and grows, a heavy, slightly throat-burning but familiar scent spreads along with the warming of the animal fat, or sometimes the more precious sesame oil, in the lamp's reservoir. Unlike the sterile, bright light we obtain with the flip of a switch in today's world, this flame is a living, moving presence that demands constant attention, breathing alongside you. The flickering rays of the flame cause the rough plaster on the walls to dance with shadows, and the features of the objects in the room change every second, creating the impression that they are coming to life. The slight crackling of the burning fat and the thin black smoke occasionally rising from the wick become part of the night's ritual, and this dim light is only sufficient to illuminate a few steps on the ground. Unlike environments where modern lighting lays everything bare, this lamp's illumination leaves corners, the high parts of the ceiling, and doorways in a mysterious half-light, granting your imagination a vast space. Moving in this gloom, your eyes and other senses become sharper. You perceive the texture of what you touch, the sound of your own breathing, more clearly. The warmth radiated by the lamp touches your world, alleviating the fatigue of the day, and this small light source offers you and your family a safe island amidst the boundless darkness. In ancient Egypt, light was not merely a tool for seeing but also a sacred shield that kept evil spirits and the dangers of the night at bay. As you place the lamp on the small table in the middle of the room, simple acts like checking if the oil is running low or adjusting the wick become the most important tasks to be done to preserve the peace of the night. As the lamp's gentle undulations settle into place, you can feel the intense solar heat trapped within the wall you lean against slowly dissipating. It's as if the house, like a living organism, is breathing. While the famous scorching daytime temperatures of the Nile Valley give way to the sharp, sudden coolness of the desert after sunset, the mud brick walls perform a perfect balancing act between these two extremes. Unlike modern climate control technologies, these thick walls built from the season's natural materials, mud, straw, and water, embody thousands of years of wisdom. As the outside air temperature drops rapidly, the interior remains warm and enveloping. This makes you feel the value of this simple yet effective shelter created by human hands against nature's harsh conditions. Running your hand over the rough wall, you feel the texture of the dried mud, the hardness of the straw fragments within, and the imprint of thousands of hands. You sense that organic structure at your fingertips. The heat radiating from the walls will gradually diminish as the night progresses, yielding to coolness by dawn. But for now, this warmth gives you a secure feeling, like a mother's embrace. From time to time, as the walls cool, the density of the air in the room changes. Scents linger more distinctly, and silence deepens further. It's as if the house itself is preparing alongside you for the processes of the night. Unlike the constant, thermostat-controlled temperatures of the modern world, here you are inside a living thermal mass that changes with each hour of the night, and you adapt to this natural rhythm. This temperature change is not just a physical condition. It is also like an ancient signal whispering to your biological clock that the day has ended, and it is time to rest. The solid, reassuring presence of the walls muffles the howling wind outside, leaving you in this sheltered space alone with the scent of mud brick and the faint aroma of animal fat. At the end of the day, you gather with your family around a mat spread on the floor, encircling the light. In the center, a large bowl holds simple but nutritious foods, symbols of the day's labor and the Nile's bounty. On the table, the scent of fresh bread baked from wheat or barley mingles with the smells of cooked lentils, onions, and perhaps a piece of fish, whetting your appetite. Without the distractions of televisions, phones, or bright lights that divert our attention while eating in today's world, you are in a moment focused solely on the meal and the presence of the people beside you. Words are few, but looks convey much. Breaking your bread in the light and dipping it into a bowl of thick peasant stew, you savor every bite, feeling its nourishment and the labor behind it more intensely. Eating here is not merely about filling the stomach, it is seen as a sacred way of survival, giving thanks to the gods, and sharing and dispelling the weariness of the day. The sharp taste of fresh green onion cleanses your palate, while the sweetness of offered figs or dates, like a small reward after a hard day, soothes the soul. Although silence is the most prominent guest at the table, it is not an uncomfortable one. It is a sought-after, peaceful, and unifying tranquility that circulates among you after the day's noise. In contrast to the fast consumption of the modern age, here each bite is chewed thoroughly, respect is shown for the food, and there is a conscious awareness that everything on your plate is a gift from nature. The sound of water poured from a pitcher, the crunch of someone breaking bread, and the occasional murmurs of contentment are the most natural accompaniments to the evening meal in this dim room. As your stomach fills, The pleasant heaviness and lethargy spreading through your limbs gradually prepare you for the next phase of the night, deep renewal. After the meal, as the air inside the house begins to feel somewhat stuffy and warm, you decide, as ancient Egyptians often did on hot nights, to go up to the flat roof, the ceiling, to sleep. Climbing the narrow, steep stairs, you feel yourself moving away from the stagnant air inside with each step, approaching a progressively cooler and breezier atmosphere. When you step onto the roof and a light evening breeze cools your skin, the view that meets your eyes when you look up is breathtakingly mesmerizing. In this era without city lights, skyscrapers, or street lamps, the sky is so clear, so deep, and the stars are so bright that you feel as if you could reach out and touch the dust of the Milky Way. Observing celestial bodies, constellations, and planets in all their naked glory, rarely visible today, reminds you of the infinity of the universe and the transience of your own existence, providing a mystical experience. As you spread your mat on a part of the roof that catches the best breeze yet is still sheltered, you notice that the village or city below has completely quieted down, with the sounds of life replaced by the sounds of nature. Lying on your back and gazing at the sky, all the day's troubles, anxieties, and weariness melt away into the deep blue of that celestial dome. Sleeping here is not just about sleeping, it is also about entering under the protective wings of Nut, the sky goddess, and being enveloped by her starry embrace. Instead of the limiting ceiling of our modern bedrooms, here you drift off to sleep beneath a window opening to infinity, and the boundaries of your dreams are lifted. As your eyelids grow heavy, the last thing you see is those ancient stars, standing there as they have everywhere for thousands of years and will for thousands more. Lying on your reed mat, your head is not cushioned on the soft down or fiber-filled pillows of the modern world but rests on a hard, crescent-shaped carved wooden piece called a headrest. At first glance, this object, which may seem like an instrument of torture, is actually an indispensable tool of comfort and belief in ancient Egyptian nights. When you place your head on the wooden rest, you immediately feel the pressure and coolness of the hard wood against your neck vertebrae. In today's world, we are accustomed to burying our heads in soft surfaces, letting the pillow take our shape. Here, however, this headrest, used for thousands of years, provides vital coolness on sweltering nights by keeping the head elevated in the air. The moment your head rests on this wooden piece, a slight airflow under your neck prevents heat accumulation and allows your skin, scorched by the sun all day, to breathe. This simple physical mechanism is one of the cleverest ways to regulate body temperature in an era without modern air conditioning. The smooth wood exerts a light but firm massaging effect on your neck muscles, and the initially strange gap allows for surprising relaxation and alignment of the spine. During that period, it was common for scorpions or other small pests to crawl on the ground where beds were placed. Therefore, being elevated was not only for coolness but also a practical way to protect against unwanted nighttime visitors. As you settle in and focus on your breathing, you notice how securely the carved wooden column holds you at a safe distance from the ground. And this feeling of elevation transforms into a metaphor in your mind, symbolizing detachment from the physical world. While modern pillows heat the head and cause sweating, this wooden headrest provides a constant coolness throughout the night, preventing your sleep from being disrupted and offering you a level-headed guide on your path to dreams. Moreover, the use of this headrest was not only for comfort or safety but also a solution to an aesthetic concern. Intricate braids, oils, and adornments enriched elaborate hairstyles, and to prevent them from being ruined, the head needed to be kept elevated. Thus, upon waking in the morning, your hair would remain as flawless as the night before. But beyond the physical sensation, a more profound, mystical aspect draws you in. The shape of this rest resembles the Ake hieroglyph, symbolizing the horizon, and placing your head upon it is like the sun setting between two mountains, symbolizing your own preparation to be reborn at dawn. As you lie on this hard yet secure support, your head becomes the sun and the headrest the horizon. According to this symbolism, falling asleep transcends a simple act of rest, becoming a sacred nightly ritual of rebirth. As the pressure points on your skull gradually numb, and your neck muscles relax after the day's strain, the stability provided by this hardness prevents you from turning your head side to side, encouraging you to sleep on your back in the most open and vulnerable posture. Unlike the constant tossing and turning in modern beds, here, thanks to this stationary wooden piece, you achieve a mandatory stillness and immobility. The whisper of the wind passing right by your ear combines with the faint scent of cedar or ebony from the wood fibers, stimulating your senses. And this experience teaches you that comfort does not always mean softness. Sometimes the right support comes from firmness. As the night progresses, this wooden strip no longer feels like a foreign object but becomes a natural extension of your body. And with the deep physical relaxation of your spine lying straight, you release the last remnants of your consciousness. As you drift into the depths of your mind, you hear a sound rhythmically dividing the absolute silence outside, a sound assuring you of safety. It is the steady, firm sound of sandals striking the hardened earth, the footsteps of the night watchman, or medjay, the police forces, patrolling the narrow streets of the city or village. In ancient Egypt, darkness was not only the time for sleep but also for thieves, tomb robbers, and chaos. Therefore, these patrol sounds from beyond the walls are a guarantee of a visible protective shield for you at home. Unlike the anxiety caused by siren sounds in the modern world, here, the sound of the watchman's wooden staff striking, or the metallic clink of their bronze spears is like a reassuring lullaby of order and law still being upheld. If you listen carefully, you might hear the watchmen's low conversations among themselves or their murmured passwords, perhaps just to stay awake. These muffled human voices fill the ominous void outside, reminding you that you are not alone. Ancient Egyptian houses, usually made of mud brick, were vulnerable to break-ins by digging through walls, which was one of the greatest fears of that era. But the regular footsteps passing in the street deter malicious individuals from hiding in the shadows and allow you to sleep soundly within your secure walls. Sometimes, the crackle of torches the watchmen carry and the flickering light striking the walls seeps through the gap under your door, creating a momentary glimmer in the room, a play of light that reinforces the feeling that protectors are nearby. This is also a tangible manifestation of the power of the state and Pharaoh's concept of Ma'at, universal order, that even in the darkest hours, someone is watching over your doorstep. The peace we entrust to security cameras and alarm systems today, you find in the breathing and rhythmic steps of a man walking the street at night. Sometimes, you might also hear the soft patting of paws or light growls of dogs with heightened senses of smell accompanying the patrol. These loyal animals act as living radars for the team, sensing dangers that human eyes might miss. As this procession of sounds passes by the house, then recedes, your heartbeat aligns with its rhythm, and you surrender to a profound sense of security. The footsteps fading into the distance signal that other people are keeping watch on the other side of the city, and the safe silence they leave behind allows you to transition into the sweetest phase of your sleep. For a person living in that era, the continuation of these sounds was not disturbing but reassuring. Because where there is sound, there is life and order. Silence could sometimes herald danger, but when the watchman's sounds echoed with controlled, confident, and strong steps, this sound illuminated not only the streets but also the corridors of fear within you. As you sink deeper into sleep, knowing that harsh, disciplined world outside is there to protect your soft, dissolving slumber sweeps away the last crumbs of anxiety from your mind. As the watchman's reassuring steps fade and disappear, another sound, much wilder, more primal, and spine-chilling, takes over the night's auditory stage. It is the high-pitched, staccato, echoing howls of jackals coming from the vast deserts, the red lands, that begin right at the edge of the city. This sound is nature's own cry, reminding you how thin the boundary of civilization is, how close order and chaos, life and death truly are. In place of the traffic hum of modern cities here, the wind carries the sounds of these wild animals. They were considered the shadows of Anubis, the god who is the protector of the dead and lord of cemeteries. Lying still, these howls are not just animal sounds but also seem like spiritual messages. For Egyptians, the jackals symbolize the transition to the afterlife, and hearing these calls in the depths of the night gives the feeling that the gates to the realm of spirits are ajar. As the pitch of the sound rises and falls, you imagine the jackals moving in packs among the necropolis, perhaps pursuing fresh prey or simply howling their existence at the moonlight. The desert wind sometimes carries these sounds as if they are right next to you, sometimes hurling them miles away. This play of distance conjures in your mind the treacherous depth and vastness of the desert. In today's world, living disconnected from nature in our insulated boxes, we forget the reality of predator and prey, a truth that seeps into your very bones with these howls. But you are in a safe house. The mud brick walls and closed doors separate you from that violent world. Yet, the nature of the jackal's voices continues to whisper into your subconscious the harshness of the desert, its merciless, rule-defying power. Amidst these sounds, sometimes the calls of other desert creatures, perhaps a hyena's laugh-like sound or the sudden wing flaps of night birds, also mix in, all combining to form the dark symphony of the desert. For Egyptians, these sounds evoked as much awe as fear, because they are the masters of the night and the unknown, and showing them respect was an extension of reverence for Anubis. Listening to the jackals, you are actually listening to life's struggle, the inevitability of death, and the divine forces governing this cycle. The howls peak at the darkest hour of the night, and then gradually diminish, as if being recalled. When this fierce chorus falls silent, the ensuing silence feels deeper, more meaningful. And you, with a strange awe, cling tighter to your headrest. The desert's voice tells you in an ancient, foreign tongue how great a privilege it is to survive, to breathe, and to be in that secure room. As the desert's wild sounds fade from your mind, your attention now turns to the source of life itself, the ancient Nile flowing right beside you. The river does not sleep at night. It undergoes different transformations, and under the cover of darkness, its waters rise and fall powerfully, albeit silently. Especially if it is the flood season, even from where you lie, you can sense the river's dense, humid, and fertile scent carried into the room by the wind. It is the smell of wet mud, reeds, and the water of life that has traveled thousands of miles. Unlike modern rivers controlled by dams and canals, the ancient Nile was an unstoppable natural force with its own will, swelling and overflowing with the breath of the god Hapi. In the night's silence, the soft lapping sounds of the flow hitting the riverbank, inaudible amid the daytime noise, now become the most prominent melody. Each lap of the water against the shore is rhythmic and hypnotic, like a giant water clock counting your seconds. As the water level in the river changes throughout the night, the creaking of papyrus boats, tied to the shore rubbing together, and the stretching of ropes inform you of the water's unseen movement. The Nile's coolness during these hours creates a dense layer of mist along the bank, and this humid air seeps into the mud brick houses, completely erasing the dry desert heat of the day, leaving behind a fresh but heavy air that fills your lungs. The sound of water is sometimes interrupted by a sudden splash, perhaps a massive hippopotamus moving in the depths or a sly crocodile diving. This reminder tells you that the river harbors not only bounty but also hidden dangers. But as you lie at a safe distance from the river, you listen to these sounds not as threats but as part of nature's vitality. The Nile's nightly rise means irrigation for the fields, fertility, and the continuity of life. Therefore, hearing its gentle, powerful flow is a guarantee for the future, a promise of abundance for a farmer or an ordinary Egyptian. In the darkness, the river's surface glimmers like a silvery path, and the sound of the water seems to flow like the Milky Way itself. The coolness brought by the water tightens the pores on your skin, making you wrap yourself a little tighter in your blanket, while the Nile's endless murmur and powerful presence also carry your mind away. Your thoughts, like the Nile waters, flow calmly from their source toward the sea. Compared to the ordinariness of water flowing from a tap today, here water itself is a divine entity, and listening to its sound throughout the night is equivalent to listening to a deity. The Nile works for you even while you sleep. It continues to nourish the land and carry life. With the gratitude this awareness brings, you surrender the last fragments of your consciousness to the lullaby of the water. Just before completely closing your eyes and surrendering to sleep, there is one final task to complete in your mind and living space, an ongoing ritual concerning the soul. You sit up from where you lie and turn toward the small household altar carved into a dim corner. This altar, far from the grandeur of large temples, is an intimate space belonging solely to you and your family, housing small figurines of ancestors, spirits, and household gods, especially the dwarf god Bes, protector of sleep and children, or the hippopotamus goddess Tauret, guardian against darkness. Instead of the habit of checking a phone screen with a blinding light before sleep in the modern world, here the peace of touching a sacred object and establishing a spiritual connection takes its place. As you bring the flickering lamplight closer to the altar, the shadows of these small limestone or wooden figurines enlarge on the wall, as if coming to life to listen to you. While pouring a little water into a small bowl or placing a small piece of bread set aside from the day's meal on the altar, the whispers from your lips may be memorized prayers or a sincere conversation containing your gratitude for the day lived or your hopes for tomorrow. This ritual is like a spiritual insurance performed to survive the night safely, to be protected from the attacks of evil spirits in dreams, and to see the morning light again. The light scent of incense spreading in the room, perhaps a bit of myrrh or frankincense resin burning, separates this sacred corner from the rest of the workspace and elevates your mind, cleansing it from daily worries to a higher frequency. In ancient Egypt, magic and religion were so intertwined with daily life that falling asleep without this final prayer would be considered an imprudence, like going to bed without locking the door. Touching the cold figurine with your fingertips and lightly resting your forehead against it, you feel you are part of a chain of belief coming from centuries past, and that you are never alone. Your ancestors and gods are in your room through this small altar transfer. This silent and private moment is the final purification point for the soul, which has left behind all the noise, stress, and fatigue of the day, before surrendering to the night. That small offering you make is actually a peace treaty you make with the universe, nature, and the unknown. "Protect me," you whisper. "Keep nightmares away and grant me the light of morning." This simple yet powerful request brings a deep relief to your heart. Leaving the altar and returning to your bedding, you are now not only physically but also spiritually ready for sleep. With this peace, your eyelids do not resist, and you take the step into the dream world awaiting you, under the supervision of the gods. As you lie in bed, you focus on the physical sensation, the slightly rough yet cooling texture against your skin. This is your garment, the simple white linen tunic, woven from the fibers of the flax plant grown on the fertile banks of the Nile, the fabric of ancient Egypt. Unlike the artificial smoothness of synthetic, petroleum-derived blend fabrics or cotton softened with conditioners in the modern world, linen offers you nature in its purest, most unprocessed form. The fabric, which shone with a dazzling whiteness under the daytime sun, does not lose its functionality at night. Linen is a living fabric. It breathes and moves with you. The natural gaps between its fibers prevent body heat from being trapped during the night, allowing it to be released. Thus, it creates a natural air conditioning effect for you even on the hottest summer nights until the breeze ceases. Running your hand over the fabric, you feel the unique character of the threads compressed on the loom, the tiny knots and texture variations. These imperfections are the quietest proofs that the fabric is not machine-made but a product of human hands and labor. While our clothing today is driven by concerns of fashion, color, or brand, this simple linen tunic you wear in that era is directly linked to concepts of purity and cleanliness. For Egyptians, animal products like wool were considered impure and were never preferred when entering temples or homes. Because sleep is a semi-death state, one must enter this sacred transition in the cleanest way possible. The touch of linen against your skin reminds you of this ritual purity. The lightness of the fabric makes you feel almost as if you're wearing nothing, while its characteristic cool touch is evident. As you toss and turn in your sleep, the rustle of the fabric creates a melody similar to the sound of wind through reeds. This sound mixes with the sounds of other natural materials, offering you an organic sleep experience free from artificiality. Another miracle of linen is its moisture-wicking capacity. On the humid nights of the Nile Valley, any slight dampness is instantly absorbed and dissipated by the fabric, so you always stay dry and fresh. There are no discomforts like the waistbands of modern pajamas squeezing your waist, or seams digging in. Your garment is loose-fitting, draped, and unrestrictive. This freedom of movement allows your body to relax completely, and helps your muscles loosen entirely. For thousands of years, this fabric has been the clothing not only of the living but also of those mummified and sent to eternity. Therefore, this fabric you wear actually symbolizes timelessness and perpetuity. As you surrender to the arms of sleep, this ancient textile acts like a second skin protecting you. Washed to softness, aging to better conform to your body, this piece carries its own scent and energy. Even when the air cools slightly in the later hours of the night, linen, with its ability to retain heat just enough, does not let you get cold. It simply maintains that pleasant coolness. Sleeping in this material, which comes from nature and will return to nature, is the quietest expression of being in harmony with the cycle of water and sun. While the Nile brought life, bounty, and wealth to Egypt, it also brought the mosquitoes and insects that breed in its stagnant waters and marshes. Therefore, at night your greatest struggle is against these small but bothersome uninvited guests. In the absence of the chemical tablets we plug in or aerosol sprays we use for effortless protection in the modern world, you must resort to much more physical and tactile methods developed by your ancestors. Your first line of defense is the tightly woven linen net, called a canopy, which you stretch over your bed. This net encloses your bed on all sides, and you notice it makes the air inside feel a bit stuffier. But it is a small price to pay for the necessary protection from that annoying buzzing. The net is woven so tightly that it doesn't allow even the smallest mosquito to penetrate, making you feel as if you are inside a secure cage, a protected fortress. However, the net alone is not enough. Therefore, you must constantly apply a heavily scented, thick oil, especially to exposed areas like your neck, arms, and face. This oil, obtained from the castor oil plant, kiki oil, has a somewhat heavy, earthy, and sharp scent, unlike modern perfumed lotions. Spreading the oil on your skin, you feel its sticky and dense texture on your fingertips. This layer acts like a visible armor preventing insects from approaching your skin. Although the scent initially burns your nostrils, after a while you get used to it, and this scent even becomes associated with safety and bedtime in your mind. While Egyptians reserved pleasantly scented oils for daytime and festivities, they used these heavy and bitter oils as practical weapons against nighttime pests. Waiting in the darkness, you hear that persistent buzzing not right at your ear but at a safe distance outside the net. Knowing it cannot reach you creates a deep sense of satisfaction. Unlike the taut and industrial structure of modern mosquito nets, this linen net is soft and envelopes you when you lie down. On very hot nights, sometimes the net itself is moistened or soaked in oil to enhance the cooling effect. The slippery layer formed by the oil accumulation prevents your skin from drying out during the night, while simultaneously making it impossible for mosquitoes to land. This is responding to a problem born from nature with a solution offered again by nature. As long as the mosquito's buzzing remains outside, after a while it transforms into a monotonous and harmless background noise, like rain against a window. You focus your mind not on this sound but on the cooling sensation the oil creates on your skin and the sheltered space inside the net. Although this seems contrary to today's technological comfort understanding, in that era, this was the only way to protect against diseases like malaria and to have an uninterrupted sleep. The scent of the oil especially keeps other flying insects at bay. Inside this fragrant and netted cocoon, isolated from all those small harassments outside, you sink into a deep, untouchable sleep. Waking in the morning without a single bite will be the greatest reward for this laborious preparation. In the deepest, quietest hour of the night, you wake from your scorching thirst. Egypt's air, especially at night, can lose its humidity and assume the dry character of the desert, confronting you with thirst. In the modern world, you are accustomed to reaching for a plastic bottle by your bed or the cold water installation in the kitchen. But here, water is an entire sensory experience and a small ritual in itself. Groping, you search for the clay jug, the zir, placed on the floor right next to your bed or on a wooden tripod. When your fingers touch the jug's damp and cool surface, a feeling of refreshment spreads throughout your body even before drinking the water. This jug is one of ancient Egypt's most ingenious cooling technologies. The porous structure of the fired clay allows a very small amount of the water inside to seep out and evaporate. The evaporating water carries heat away with it, so the water inside the jug remains ice cold regardless of how hot the outside air is. When you grasp the jug with both hands and bring it to your lips, the wet earth scent coming to your nostrils reminds you of rain, the Nile's mud, and the source of the water. As your lips touch the jug's thick rim, you feel its rough texture, and when you start to drink, the taste spreading in your palate is not the neutral taste of water passed through modern purification devices. It is a mineral-rich, lively, earthy, and nourishing taste. As you swallow, you can physically follow the coolness sliding down your throat toward your stomach and the shivering of your internal organs with the icy refreshment. This is not just quenching thirst, but also cooling and calming the body. In the darkness, the only sounds are your swallowing and the sound of the jug's base lightly touching the ground as you replace it. There is no crackle of modern plastic bottles or sound of a cap opening. Everything is within the silence of earth and water. Sometimes the mouth of the jug is covered with a piece of wood or cloth to keep out dust. Removing and replacing this is a slow, automatic movement in your sleepy mind. When your thirst is quenched, the lingering clay taste in your mouth gives you a strange peace. It's as if you have been nourished by them. The water your body needs is stored, your pulse slows, and returning to sleep becomes easier. You appreciate how valuable a treasure that simple water jug is for the continuity of life, and you admire the ingenuity of your ancestors who used natural processes to keep water cool in a world without electricity or refrigerators. As you settle back onto your bedding, the coolness in your body relaxes you. The dryness in your throat is replaced by a crucial refreshment. This small break increases the depth of your sleep and prepares you for a seamless slumber until the first light of morning. As you continue to drift back into sleep, your attention shifts to the subtle changes in your surroundings. The textures of the walls seem to shift, and you become aware of the sounds resulting from the tightly packed, interwoven structure of ancient Egyptian cities. Here, houses, especially in villages or crowded city quarters, are built sharing common walls. The sound insulation of modern apartments, or the privacy and spacing of detached houses is non-existent here. Your neighbor's breath mixes with yours. A muffled snoring sound from just beyond the wall, a rhythmic, deep grumble, is the most human sound, reminding you that you are not alone. This sound, which could be bothersome to others, transforms into a strange source of security for you in the night's eerie silence. Because it signifies the survival and deep sleep of a person living right beside you. Sometimes, alongside the snoring, whispered words, the sound of a child mumbling in their sleep, or the soft lullaby of a mother trying to soothe a crying baby reach your ears. The mud brick walls don't completely block the sounds but soften them, take the edge off, leaving behind only a muffled, pervasive, hard to define but palpable hum. This symphony of proximity makes you feel part of a living organism. While in the modern world we live completely disconnected and unaware of our neighbors, the urban loneliness there is replaced here by village intimacy. Your neighbor's cough, another's laughter, or the low echo of an argument show that life continues in all its naturalness. As you listen to these sounds, you will imagine what those people are experiencing, what dreams they are seeing, their weariness and their hopes. That snoring man perhaps carried stones all day at a pyramid construction site. That whispering woman is perhaps worrying about the food she will cook in the morning. This shared soundscape dispels your fears. Because you know that in a moment of danger, a single scream would bring the entire street running outside. After a while, the sounds begin to act like a lullaby. Your brain stops perceiving these rhythmic noises as threats and accepts them as the night's natural background music. When silence falls intermittently, you then become expectant. You listen for the next sound. The fall of an object against the neighbor's wall, or the creak of a wooden door no longer startles you. They carry the message. We are here forever, we are all here. Privacy is not defined by sharp boundaries as it is in the modern era. Lives are intertwined, and this situation gives you a sense of a visible embrace when the night seems vast. As your own breathing synchronizes with the rhythm of the neighbor's snoring, you find yourself, and this harmony draws you into a communal sleep, a collective rest. In this world without alienation, the wall's whisper is a friend. As your eyelids grow heavy and your consciousness detaches from the physical world, for an ancient Egyptian, it's not just a biological rest but a spiritual journey beginning. You step into the realm of dreams, onto the shores of the Dut. Unlike modern psychology, which sees dreams as events stemming from the subconscious, the day's stress, or repressed emotions, for you, dreams are a sacred communication channel where gods, deceased ancestors, or spirits communicate with you, whispering prophecies of the future. Therefore, Falling asleep is not just closing your eyes, but opening the seeing eye, the inner eye. When your mind sinks into darkness, the symbols you see, the sounds you hear, all carry the potential of an encoded message to be deciphered upon waking. As you drift in the dream realm, perhaps you see a giant falcon. This is a sign of Horus showing you his power. Or you see yourself swimming in murky waters. This could be news of an approaching danger. Dreams in that era were taken so seriously that there were extensive guides called dream books, papyri, classifying scene symbols as good or bad. It is believed that while you sleep, your soul detaches from its bonds and roams freely, sits at the table of the gods, or wanders in the land of the dead. This belief infuses the night with a mystical, somewhat reverent atmosphere. Each night you are traveling to another dimension. What modern man dismisses as just a dream or fleeting nightmares could, for you, be an attack by evil spirits or spells. And therefore, upon waking, you must recite a protective prayer. If in your dream a figure in pure white linen tells you something, this is a direct command. And the next day you must definitely consult a priest, a dream interpreter. This transforms the sleep process from a passive act into an active spiritual experience. As you relax in your bed, you are actually right upon that thin veil between worlds. The texture, scent, and feeling of your dreams can be realized as more vivid and intense than waking life. You might hear the winged beat of the goddess Isis or see the wisdom of the god Thoth on a scroll. This expectation pushes your mind towards a certain focus as you sleep. The question, "What will be shown to me tonight?" is the guide of your slumber. When your eyes open in the morning, what you saw in the night will take shape, support your decisions, and even possess the power to change your destiny. Therefore, the last emotion before sleep is a mixture of curiosity and awe. Because although you are alone in the room with the door closed, in the dream world you are connected with the entire universe and the gods. This sacred key elevates your sleep from an ordinary need to a divine gift. In the deepest silence of the night, as you lie within the warmth and security of your home, a faint but perceptible ritual whisper from the majestic temple in the city center, miles away, reaches your ears. Unlike the artificial noise from modern nightclubs or highways, this is a sacred sound carried by the air, traveling from the stone halls and vast courtyards. It is the echo of the arduous nocturnal rites performed by those serving the gods within the temple, isolated from the outside world. The air acts like a channel carrying scents and sounds. And if the wind is blowing in the right direction, these things that reach you sometimes carry a tone more like a hum or the resonant strike of an instrument than a human voice. Sometimes a low murmuring of a hymn, the subtle trace of the heavy, resinous scent of burning incense carried by the wind, or the sound of a ceremonial bell struck at measured intervals. The temple is not just a place of worship, but also the heart of the city and all of Egypt. The priests continue to work, sustaining the presence of Ma'at, cosmic order, pleasing the gods, and holding back the forces of chaos, even while you sleep. The distant existence of this rite gives you a deep sense of collective security. Because even as you rest, Egypt's spiritual guardians are keeping watch on behalf of the entire civilization. These distant sounds are the audible part of a prayer being made for you, conducted on your behalf. The nocturnal temple rites often mimic the night journey of the sun god. The priests stay awake all night to ritually support Ra in his battle with the serpent of chaos, and to ensure his rebirth at dawn. While you sleep peacefully in your home, they are washing the colossal god statues in the dim temple corridors, changing their sacred garments, and placing offerings before them. This awareness shows that your sleep is not an ordinary act but rather an act of surrender. Let yourself be entrusted to the care of the gods and the state. the flow of the rite fades and remains only as an echo in your mind. This echo eventually becomes the background music of your dreams. While places of faith in today's world close at night, in ancient Egypt the most important rituals continue precisely during these hours when the power of the stars and the moon is at its peak. This silent, mystical sense of existence reminds you that you are just a small part of a vast, sacred plan. As the temple sounds disappear, the remaining silence is the peace of an order that has fulfilled its duty. As you focus on the scent inside your house, your mind immediately transports you to the granary, separated from you only by the thick mud brick wall. Here lies the basic guarantee of security, the reserves left from the Nile's last harvest. The scent seeping into your room is a mixture of the earthy, slightly sweet, and dense aroma of dried barley, wheat, or lentils. Unlike the sterile atmosphere of modern supermarkets, this scent presents you with the raw reality of bounty, labor, and the uninterrupted flow of life. This grain scent is the scent of Egypt's economic and social state, the scent of life's fundamental foundation. But right alongside this bounty, you are also aware of the presence of a small, moving threat. Faint, intermittent, and hurried clicking sounds from the depths of the granary. These are the sounds of mice and rats running among the piles. The scratching of their paws on the mud floor, the sound of their small teeth touching hard kernels, and the rustling of their tails against dry straw create a constant, irritating but persistent symphony. In the absence of the era's instant pest control systems, these creatures are an inseparable part of daily life and sleep for every Egyptian. These clicks show you how deeply intertwined wealth and vermin are. These small sounds remind you how valuable the treasure in the granary is and how carefully it must be protected. Mice are not just thieves of grain. They are also potential carriers of diseases like plague. Therefore, a constant state of alertness accompanies listening to these clicks. Sometimes the house cat, a sacred animal and protector of the home for Egyptians, pricks up its ears slightly towards the sounds from the granary. In that case, you might hear the cat's tail lightly thumping the floor or its silent steps as it prepares to approach its prey. The cat's presence instantly alleviates the tension caused by the clicks and makes you feel secure. The scent of grain is security. The clicking of mice is a constant warning. The combination of these two contrasting emotions brings a strange balance to your sleep. When you focus on the scent of grain, you feel your stomach is full and your family has provisions. When the clicks intensify, it is a reminder that life is not easy and vigilance must always continue. In the later hours of the night, the cat has likely done its job and the clicks have diminished. Only the strong, earthy, life-filled scent of the grain remains. This scent becomes the last natural perfume carrying you into sleep. When you wake briefly late at night, you encounter a silvery beam of light filtering and drifting in through the small windows and air vents. This is the mesmerizing play of shadows created by the sky's queen, the moon, over the famous mud brick houses of ancient Egypt. Unlike the dense artificial lighting of modern cities that swallows even the stars and moon, here the moonlight is so powerful and distinct that it is enough to dimly but clearly illuminate the interior. This light, completely different from the lamp's warm, orange-toned artificial glow, offers a cold, sharp, and mystical atmosphere. The moonlight hitting the rough mud brick surfaces accentuates texture differences and every detail in the wall's construction. Tiny imperfections, straw fragments, and the drying lines of the mud transform into gigantic shadows. The shadow of an object placed in front of a window, for example, a jug or a storage pot, falls on the opposite wall, appearing much larger and more prominent than the object itself. For Egyptians, this is a time of day when shadows and spirits are believed to dwell close by, when the boundaries between the physical and metaphysical are thin. The moon god Thoth is associated with knowledge, and his light represents wisdom and secrets. Therefore, sleeping under this light is not just about illumination but also gives the feeling that the soul is under protection. The beam of light draws a rectangle on the floor right beside your bed and moves among the objects inside. As the moon journeys across the sky, the shadows also dance and change shape. This slow, monotonous movement is an extremely hypnotic spectacle for your sleepy eyes. As you watch this moving but silent tableau, the thoughts in your mind also slow down and drift like these shadows. Unlike the bright, blue rays of modern screens that disturb sleep and inhibit melatonin production, moonlight is calming. The shadows on the ceiling or in corners can sometimes turn into the silhouettes of monsters or ghosts in your sleepy mind. But the moon's pure, cleansing rays immediately disperse these fantasies. The longer and sharper the shadows, the clearer and stronger the light source. After a while, your eyes completely adapt to this dimness, and you feel peaceful and comfortable within this silvery brightness, as if in an underwater cave. The cold, clean touch of the moonlight carries you like an anchor until the first warm sparks of dawn. As the coldest moment of the night approaches, usually just before dawn, you wake with a final need to burrow deeper and are grateful for the presence of the thin linen or wool blend blanket covering you. Although Egyptian days are scorching, desert nights see temperatures drop rapidly. When the heat stored by the mud brick walls slowly dissipates, the surrounding air takes on a sharp, frosty coolness. Unlike the very thick, fluffy, and artificially filled structure of modern duvets, this covering is thin, heavy, but incredibly effective. When you pull the blanket up to your shoulders, you feel as if you have entered a security cocoon with the immediate warmth and enveloping sensation it provides. The blanket's texture is a bit thicker and perhaps slightly rougher than your linen garment. But this roughness reminds you of the natural processes of plants and animals. It filters the cold air mass without letting it touch you, trapping heat around your body. This blanket is not just a source of warmth, it is also a symbolic barrier believed in ancient Egypt to protect a sleeping body from evil spirits and the dangers of the night. The slight rustling sound created as you pull the blanket over you becomes a hum within the silence, pushing you further inside, to the threshold of an even deeper sleep. The weight of the blanket creates a calming effect similar to the weighted blankets used in modern therapy. Your body surrenders more to gravity. Muscles relax and your heartbeat slows. This weight draws a physical boundary for you and helps your mind completely detach from the outside world. When you completely hide your feet and arms under the blanket, the personal microclimate created by the air layers inside envelopes you. This is where you are most vulnerable but also most saved. All the responsibilities, burdens, and fatigue of the day are held under this thin covering. All that remains is you, the weight of the blanket, and the deepest, most restorative silence of the night. You return to that sweet sinking that will continue until your body warms and relaxes completely. When all external sounds, the watchman's footsteps, the jackal's howls, the neighbor's snoring, and the temple whispers, have completely ceased, an absolute, dense, velvet-like silence prevails. This is the purest silence of nature and history, never interrupted by the constant electrical hum or distant traffic noise of the modern world. Within this absolute silence, whether you want to or not, your mind's focus turns inward to your own existence, and the most prominent sound becomes the rhythmic, steady beating of your own heart within your ribcage. Lying on your back, you can hear your heartbeat clearly, as a thump-thump sound, as if your ear is pressed against the ground. This is life's most personal, most essential metronome, the most primitive, and reliable drum of the survival struggle. The rhythm of your heartbeat tells you that all the hustle, worry, and physical labor you experience throughout the day have now slowed and rested. Listening to your own drum in this most silent hour of the night is like listening to the breath of the God Ammonius, the Hidden One. It is noticing the divine guide within you. In the modern process, we need to pause to hear our own characteristic sounds. Here, however, the absence of external sounds opens the doors to your inner world. The sound of your heart is not just a rhythm. You also feel the pulsing of blood in your veins, the filling of your lungs with breath, and the relaxation of your muscles. All these silent movements inside your body are notes of a perfect internal order, in contrast to the great chaos outside. As you gradually relax, your heart rate also slows. It begins to beat more deeply and resoundingly. This slowing is a sign that you are approaching the most efficient, deepest phase of sleep. You begin to synchronize your breathing with your heart's rhythm. The slight rise of your ribcage with each inhale, its gentle fall with each exhale. This simple, repetitive action gathers all the scattered fragments in your mind and ties them to the safe rhythm of the heartbeat. After a while, the sound of your heartbeat ceases to be an external sound. It becomes part of your existence, an internal music. This absolute solitude and the sound of your own heart offer you not just rest, but also the simple miracle of existence. You are alive, safe, and its beat is carrying you towards a new morning, a new chance. With this feeling, the last crumbs of your mind also melt away, and you surrender yourself to the slow, reassuring rhythm of your heart. As you lie in bed with your eyes closed, you feel the small, cool objects resting against your skin, right below your neck, protecting you all day. These are not just decorative accessories. They are the spiritually powerful shields of ancient Egyptian knights against the unknown, amulets. While wearing a necklace in the modern era is often an aesthetic choice, in that period every object you wore around your neck or wrist was a protector charged with Heka, magical power, serving a specific purpose. You focus on the texture of this small, sacred object. Perhaps it's a scarab beetle made of smooth green faience, symbolizing rebirth and the cycle of life. Or maybe it's just a small wedjat, Eye of Horus, amulet carved from wood. These small objects ensure the protection of the person's ka, life force, while sleeping, when the bond between body and soul is loosened. For ancient Egyptians, sleep is like a little brother of death. At that vulnerable moment, evil spirits, demons, and entities escaping from the realm of the dead find living beings easy targets. While you lie motionless in the darkness, these small amulets surround you, creating a sort of energetic field. The cool temperature of the amulet touching your skin gives you a constant feeling of capability and assurance. If it's a Bes amulet, the comical face of the dwarf god is specifically designed to scare away evil spirits, and you can imagine him smiling at you while you sleep. But the value of amulets comes not from the durability or craftsmanship of their material, but from the Heka power infused into them. They have been blessed by a priest or a knowledgeable person, and this blessing transforms the object from a mere piece of stone or wood into an active protector. When you move slightly in your sleep, the faint clinking sound of the chains or cords of these amulets echoes in the silence, and this sound is an auditory component of keeping danger at bay, like the watchman's footsteps. Leaving your mind to the deep spiritual assurance these small objects provide you, you know that you are not alone against threats beyond the physical world. The scarab on your neck guarantees the sunrise, while the wedjat eye constantly watches over you. Beyond everything explained by science and logic for modern man, in this ancient era, Surrendering yourself with this simple faith is the only way for the soul to find peace and sink into a deep sleep. The weight of the amulets gives you an anchoring feeling and prevents your mind from drifting in the sea of the unknown. As you approach the final moments of the night, you experience a change that you perceive instinctively even while sleeping. Just before dawn breaks, the final, most intense, and deepest shiver of the night occurs. Unlike the constant indoor temperature fixed by modern heating, here you are completely exposed to nature's rhythm, and the desert's cold breath has absorbed the last remnants of heat from the mud brick walls. Even under your linen blanket, you can feel that thin, icy coolness on your toes or the top of your shoulders. This cold is not just a physical condition but also a spiritual threshold. In ancient Egypt, these hours are the final moments when the forces of chaos are at their strongest, when the sun god Ra battles in the corridors of the underworld with his solar bark. This shiver seems to stem not only from heat loss but also from a cosmic tension. Your metabolism, slowed during sleep, reacts to this sudden coolness, and your muscles contract slightly. Even at the deepest level of sleep, your survival instincts are present. They make you wrap the blanket tighter. On the roof, you can feel this cold air accumulated even more sharply. The breeze passes over your body like an ice blade. This coolness whispers to you that the night is about to end, but you are facing the last barrier before reaching the light. In a world where we constantly fight cold with thermostats, feeling this natural coolness reestablishes the lost connection between you and nature. As you struggle with this cold, you actually give support to Ra for his victory. In this moment of shivering, a strange clarity forms in your mind. You are on the thinnest veil between wakefulness and sleep. As you curl up under your blanket, you know this cold is temporary, that the warmth about to be born will melt it away completely. This final cold breath is the night's last cry of victory. And you, as an Egyptian awaiting the victorious sun, meet this shiver with fortitude. With your eyes closed, lying on the hard wooden headrest, there is a symbol that comes alive in your mind and you know is watching over you. The Wedjat, the Eye of Horus. Unlike the cold, disturbing feeling of being watched created by modern surveillance systems or AI cameras, this eye offers you a divine watch that provides protection, healing, and wholeness. For ancient Egyptians, this symbol represents an eye that was lost and then found again, thus healed and made whole. It is the spiritual guarantee that your soul, which fragmented during sleep, can return intact in the morning along with your ka. As you drift off, the all-seeing and non-judgmental presence of this eye is felt in every corner of the house. Sometimes it shines in a small relief on a wall, sometimes in the amulet you wear, or simply in the depths of your mind. This thought protects you throughout the night from bad dreams, enemies' secret spells, and unknown dangers. The Eye of Horus is a shield not only against external dangers but also against your own inner darkness and weakness. While you sleep, the eye monitors your heart's rhythm and protects the integrity of your mind. The presence of this watchfulness adds a deep peace to your sleep while also holding you accountable. Because the eye of the gods is upon you, and this reminds you to maintain your commitment to Maat, the cosmic order. If you made a mistake during the day, you know that under the presence of this eye, you will carry the weight of that mistake into your dreams at night. But the main purpose is not to frighten, but to protect. The eye, like a compass, prevents your soul from getting lost on its journey in the Dud, the land of the dead. This constant, divine guidance is the complete opposite of the anxieties brought by the physical and digital surveillance we are constantly subjected to in the modern world. The Eye of Horus watches over you with intensity and compassion. It is a judgment-free, pure protection, like a father watching his child. The eye sees everything clearly even in the pitch black of night, and its light prevents you from being completely swallowed. Under this divine protection, you surrender to the deepest layers of your sleep, feeling safe and whole. As you settle in for the last time to sleep, a tiny, faint rustling sound from the reeds on the roof catches your attention. These are the sounds of small insects and creatures scurrying about, showing that your house's roof is not completely motionless even while you sleep. Unlike the absolute insulation of modern houses with concrete ceilings, the reed and mud roofs of ancient Egypt are in constant interaction with the surrounding natural life. These sounds whisper to you that life continues outside even as you rest. The tiny feet of insects running over the reeds, the rustling of dry grasses expanding, or the ritual of spiders repairing their webs. These are such small and natural sounds that after a while, instead of irritating, they become a natural part of the night. They remind you that the house is not just a structure but an extension of nature itself, that even a lizard wandering right above the roof is an inhabitant of this house. These tiny clicks become especially noticeable when the air is coldest and most silent, echoing in the cool air right under the roof. Unlike the clicking of mice, these sounds are not threatening. They are the harmless night routines of small creatures. When your mind focuses on these sounds, you imagine how complex and busy their world is. They, too, are trying to survive, hunt, and return to their nests, just like you. This silent symphony resonates not only on the roof but also within the depths of the house's mud brick walls. Sometimes the movement of small insects living in the tiny cracks of the dry mud or the faint gnawing sounds of termites. For you, this is the inevitable side effect of living intertwined with nature. After a while, these tiny sounds no longer emerge as separate noises. They merge, turning into a soft, continuous, and hypnotic rustle. This natural background noise suppresses other thoughts in your mind, like the white noise machines of the modern world, and pushes you towards complete, tranquil focus. With the knowledge that you are in the safety of your bed, you allow the small lives on the roof to continue their own rhythms, and with these sounds, your awareness drifts away from where it was anchored. From the deepest sleep, just before waking, you are awakened not by a light seeping under your eyelids but by a sharpening of your senses. This is the rising of Venus, the morning star, appearing in the eastern sky and heralding the end of the night. Unlike our world where city lights easily swallow it, in the clear, dark sky of ancient Egypt, this star is so sharp and distinct that it appears almost like a second moon. The appearance of this star is not just an astronomical event, it is also the spiritual sign of a cosmic victory and the triumph of the god Ra over the forces of chaos. The sight of the morning star is a call for those sleeping. It is time to awaken from deep sleep, from the complexity of dreams, and from the dangers of the night. When you sit up on your bedding and look at the sky from the roof, you see the star's cold, diamond-like sparkles, and this light instantly transmits an energy and renewed hope to your soul. This star is sometimes associated with important goddesses like Isis or Hathor and symbolizes the return of feminine power and bounty. All other stars begin to fade. The indigo of the sky begins to turn to purple and pink. The morning star is its final and strongest resistance. As you watch this star, you see that an entire night's worth of fears, prayers, and dreams are now gathered in that single bright point. This speck whispers to you the promise of a new day's pure, clean, and unblemished beginning. In your mind, the veils of sleep are lifted, and you begin to come alive to prepare for the day. The morning star acts as a beacon for those awaiting the first light of day. It is the herald of what is to come immediately after. The presence of this star in the sky is the most reliable proof of life's cyclical nature, that darkness is always followed by light. You draw your final motivation to rise from bed from this star. Sleep has now ended. The night has been successfully navigated, and there are only minutes left until the birth of the sun god Ari. While the morning star continues to shine in the sky, as you are still in the warm and sheltered refuge of your bed, a low and muffled stirring sound from the awakening village reaches your ears. Unlike the chaotic awakening created by the sudden siren sounds or traffic noise of modern metropolises, this is the sound of the orderly, soft, and gentle beginning of a day thousands of years ago. The village's awakening begins first with the footsteps of the earliest risers, usually bakers and farmers with the farthest fields to reach. Each step of their sandals on the hardened earth cuts through the night's silence like a whispered sentence. These first human sounds from beyond the walls do not frighten you because you know they belong to your own. On the contrary, they bring peace. Because they are the heralds of the return of order, not chaos. From neighboring houses, the sounds of water jugs being placed on the ground, the creaking of door hinges, and the first challenging crow of roosters against the not yet fully lit sky increase like an orchestra beginning to tune. Among these sounds, one of the most notable is the sound of wood pieces and dry reeds being broken to rekindle the hearth. This cracking sound is the sound of the first fire of the day, the rebirth of the fire that will give birth to the day's first meal. Unlike the effortless convenience offered by electric heaters today, here fire is a precious life energy that must be won anew each morning. As you lie in bed with your eyes closed, listening to these sounds, you visualize the village's geography and your neighbors' routines in your mind. You can imagine the farmer going to the northern field walking on the road, guess his weariness for the day. From the soft murmur of a mother breastfeeding her baby in the next house, you understand that life's most basic cycles continue. This liveliness is more of a preparation state than haste. No one is running yet, no one is speaking loudly. Everyone is using this short time just before sunrise in tranquility, with calm steps. In place of the morning social tension or the instant stress created by alarm sounds in modern society, a collective awakening that respects each individual's pace, a social tranquility, took its place. As the sounds in the village increase, the faint ticking sounds from the wooden beams on the roof also cease. The nocturnal insects and mice retreat to their nests with the onset of human activity. The coolness of the outside air has undergone a transformation. The sharp frost has passed, giving way to a more humid, softer, and expectant coolness. This gives you the final signals to prepare for the day. This initial liveliness is not just a soundscape. It is an ancient rhythm that whispers to you the solidity, interconnectedness, and discipline of ancient Egyptian society in the first moments of its awakening. As the footsteps in the village and the sound of breaking wood rise, the most inviting scent of the day, which you draw in with a deep breath through your nostrils, is that of one of the most important symbols. It is the sweet, toasted scent mixed with the smoky aroma arising from the bread ovens, the prank, house of life. While 1,000 varieties of food are consumed and scents are mixed in modern breakfasts, this scent represents the undisputed center of life and sustenance in ancient Egypt. Bread is not just a food item but also an indicator of wages, offerings, and social status. Therefore, smelling this scent is the first sign that the day will progress with richness and abundance. The scent usually begins to filter into the settlement shortly after the common ovens or hearths in the courtyards of large houses are lit. First, a light, thin smoke scent is felt, the sharp smoky note from burning wood and dry plants. This means the fire has been lit and heat is rising. Immediately after, the scent of fermented dough or slightly sour fermentation merges with the toasted sweetness of wheat or barley flour rapidly baking at high heat. The combination of these two scents promises you both warmth and satiety. This scent instantly erases all the dreams, fears, and worries of the night. The power of this scent is not only sensory but also psychological. The smell of fresh bread triggers feelings of security and stability in your mind. Because where there is bread, there is life. The rising smoke ascends in thin columns from different points in the still not fully lit settlement, and this visual shows that life is organized and orderly. As you put on the clothes left by your bed, you absorb this scent and let it increase your energy. The scent sometimes becomes so intense that it makes you feel the baker's toil at that moment, the workings of the oven, and all the labor in preparing the dough. While we live completely disconnected from the bread production process today, here you receive the first and most important sensory evidence of that process. This scent immediately moves you to action, prepares you to wash your face by the Nile and taste the day's first morsel. The scent of bread is the most powerful invitation to the day's opening ceremony after the night's long ritual, and it makes you feel the extraordinary, fertile flavor of awakening in this ancient land. When you rise from bed, you still carry the lethargy and heaviness of sleep in your body. But there is only one essential path to shed this sluggishness and begin the day with sacred energy. Going to the Nile River to wash with the day's first, life-filled breath. Unlike the softness of hot water and chemical soaps in modern bathrooms, this is a completely natural, powerful, and revitalizing shock. The steps as you walk from your house towards the riverbank still feel wet and cool with dew. When you reach the Nile's shore, since the sun has not fully risen yet, the water's surface has a dark, silvery color. You inhale the dense, humid, and refreshing scent rising from the water. When you dip your hand into the river's flow, you feel that the water's temperature is much lower than the air's coolness, striking your hand with an almost icy sharpness. This cold instantly liberates you from the last remnants of sleep. When you splash the cold water you've cupped in your hands onto your face, that sudden and harsh contact accelerates the blood circulating in your veins and sends a clear signal of awakening to your brain. What coffee does temporarily in the modern era, the Nile's cold water alone provides in that period. As the water droplets on your face instantly begin to evaporate in the dry desert air, the slight coolness and feeling of cleanliness left on your skin are extremely invigorating. This is not just a physical cleansing. For Egyptians, Nile water is life itself, and washing with this sacred water means letting all the night's bad dreams, evil spirits, and negative energies flow off of you. By performing this morning ritual, you ensure your soul and body are cleansed and ready for the day's struggles and the blessings of the gods' favor. As you dry your face, that fresh and vibrant state of your senses motivates you for the entire day. The water has purified you, clarified your mind, and revitalized your muscles. This ritual reminds you of the Nile's power and bounty each morning anew. As you leave the shore and return to the village, only the clean and refreshing scent of water remains on your linen garments. You, a purified, alive, and energetic Egyptian, are now ready to greet the day's first lights. After being purified by the Nile's water and invigorated by the scent of bread, all activity in the village reaches its peak. Because now everyone is ready to gather for the most basic and sacred ritual to salute the rising of the god Ra, the sun god, on the eastern horizon. While the modern world sees the sunrise as just a landscape, for an ancient Egyptian, This is the moment when the victory of order, Mat, over chaos, Isfit, is definitively and absolutely won, the fundamental truth of life reclaimed each morning. Everyone in the village stands either on the roof or at an east-facing corner of the house and waits, holding their breath. After the sky pales at dawn, it becomes the stage for an intense explosion of orange, gold, and bright red colors. As this formation of colors fills the sky, you visualize in your mind Ra's struggle throughout the night with the chaos serpent Apep in the underworld. His rebirth at dawn is not just the return of a light source but also a promise of your own soul's journey after death and resurrection. When the first sun rays burst over the horizon and strike the village, the fields, and the Nile's waters, you are filled with a deep feeling of respect and awe. When the first ray touches your skin, the coolness, the last accumulation of the night, instantly dissipates and transforms into a life-giving warm energy. Squinting your eyes, you bow your head slightly forward and salute Ra by murmuring words like, Nefer Nefer, beautiful, beautiful. This is the moment to offer the day's first thanks to the god, to be grateful for being alive, and to stretch towards the sun, drawing its energy into yourself. As you perform this ritual, you know you are not alone. All of Egypt, from the pharaoh to the ordinary farmer, is performing the same action with the same belief at the same time. As the sun's rays rise, the shadows of the mud brick houses shorten, colors come alive, and the world transforms from the soft, blurred state of sleep into a sharp-edged, industrious reality. This moment is for you not just the beginning of a day but also a spiritual fresh start. All the mistakes, fears, and worries of the night have turned to ash, blown away by the changing lights. After saluting Ra's day, as an Egyptian, you once again remember your duty to serve Mat, to contribute to order. After saluting the sun god Ra and washing your face with the sacred Nile water, as your mind is in a state of complete clarity and vitality, let's focus on the deepest emotion that accumulated during the night's long journey. The pure and serene gratitude of being able to start a new day, of having survived. While the modern world often sees the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the coming day as a rite, in ancient Egypt, you are conscious that each morning is a grace granted by the gods after the night's arduous struggle. This gratitude is not directed only at grand goals. It is the thankfulness felt for the solid ground under your feet, the thin linen garment on your body, the scent of fresh bread spreading in the air, and the endless flow of the Nile River right beside you. You are grateful that a farmer's field is still green, that an artisan's hands can still work. The feeling of gratitude pushes you towards humility, because you know that the source of life and bounty is not your effort but the grace of the Nile and Ra. This feeling strengthens you against all the difficulties you will face throughout the day. As you experience this emotion, that soft and warm energy forming inside your heart slows down all the stress and haste of the day. Gratitude is part of Mat, the foundation of ancient Egypt's worldview. Being grateful means accepting the universal order and ensuring harmony with it. By carrying this feeling, you promise to live the day more honestly, more diligently, and more justly. This moment of gratitude, like a cleansing wave, clears all unnecessary noise from your mind. You have rested within sleep's protective shelter, your soul is resilient, and you are physically nourished and ready. Now it is time to step outside the door and join the vibrant rhythm of civilization. When you take that step outside, not just a day begins. You have rejoined that ancient cycle, the grand ritual of life and resurrection that has continued for millennia. This gratitude-filled beginning promises you a peaceful, productive, and orderly day. Good night.